Hello, this is Dan. I wrote my paper on the college degree, and the question that I'm asking is it something that we should be pushing on our young people as aggressively as we are as a culture? It's something that definitely we've bought into this idea that we need to get a college degree if we want to be successful. Because if we don't, then we won't get the good job, or we won't get the good income, or the good career job satisfaction that we somehow feel entitled to or think we deserve or something. I don't know. So today, the topics that I'm going to talk about are who benefits from the current system that we have of education. I'm going to talk about, when I say who benefits, I mean the colleges or the students. The rising costs, we're going to talk about factors that have gone into what has brought up the cost of education. It's no secret that college is not cheap, right? I'm going to talk about the debt burdens associated with higher education. I'm also going to talk about some alternatives to the college degree, other choices, other pathways that people could be taking that might be better suited for them. And I'm also going to discuss the devaluation of the degree itself, based upon some of the factors that are going into what we're doing to how we're perceiving the college degree. So, who benefits from getting a college degree? I'm not arguing the statistics of income from having a degree or not having a degree. This is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics up from 2014. Obviously, the more college education you get, the more likely you are to make more money. This ranges from $23,000 to $67,000 annually, to help you see that easier. But this doesn't represent people that go to college and how much money they make. What this represents is people that have earned a degree. So you have to not only just go to college, you have to successfully go through college. And when I say successfully go through college, the statistics and the numbers get eaten up much more than, oh, I just went to college, or I'm going to go to college, so I'm going to make a bunch of money. That's not how it works. Again, there's no guarantee of income. Even if you do get a degree, it doesn't mean that you're going to be making the money that chart said. That chart just was an average of how much money people were making. There were some making a lot more, and there were some making a lot less. The pressure that we feel to be attending the schools is also something that needs to be factored in. And the fact that 50% of the students who enter college do not complete it, that begs to ask the question of who really is benefiting, because if you go to school and you don't finish school, but you had to pay the money for the school, it really didn't help you much at all, right? And with a statistic like that, what are the odds that you're going to make it through? It begs the question that you need to be asking yourself, or we should be asking ourselves. So I talked about the rising costs, or I'm going to talk about the rising costs here. The inflation makes things cost more money. So in 1982, everything costs more now than it did then. But tuition has increased up to 400% in that time frame. So that's not explained by inflation alone. There are other factors that are going into this rise in cost. And what is that is a good question. The fact that more students coming out of high school are desiring to get this degree increases the demand so much that the price will have to go up. It's a basic market mechanism. That's just how it works. Another reason for the increase in price is the increase in price. I know that sounds kind of weird, but the law of supply states that the more something costs, the more people are willing to pay for it. So the rising price itself is actually begetting more of a rising price phenomenon, which is not helpful. In the valuation aspect of the degree, which I'll talk about later. So the rising costs, obviously they are spending money on education, teachers, classrooms, of course, okay? But they're also spending a lot of money on other things. And these are two examples of things that I found that they're spending a lot of money on. And the reasons why they spend the money on these types of things is because colleges are costing so much now, and they're so desirable, that in order to drive applicants to apply to their school, colleges are forced to start doing things that are a little unorthodox and that are not so focused on the education aspect of the college itself, which is where it should be focused, but sometimes it's not. And part of the reason they do this is because the people, the shoppers, the students or the parents or whoever is looking for the school, they need to have little bells and whistles that will bring more applicants to apply to their school for whatever the reason is. By bringing in more applicants, a school is able to only take in so many, right? Stanford only accepts 6% of its applicants. So it's a very exclusive school. It's a very good school. And the students who graduate from that school tend to make even more money than other colleges. But the more applicants a school can bring in for the year, that since they can only accept a certain amount, that means the more they can reject. And the more applicants a school can reject, then the more exclusive it appears. And the more exclusive a school appears, the more of a draw that it has in the marketplace. And by doing that, it also enables itself to be able to raise the price because it's more exclusive and people must like it and it must be awesome. But really, they might just have hot tubs and climbing walls. So student debt is also a big problem, obviously. Most people don't, the average person can't afford a rate of an increase of 400% in the cost of something, right? So many students have to take on a large amount of debt just to attempt to acquire this degree. Another reason why the costs are so high and the debt is so high for a particular student sometimes is because it takes them longer to finish a degree. If they actually get to the finish point, if they spend an extra year in college, that could be in excess of 10, 20, 30, whatever the cost of the school is, $1,000 of student debt that builds up on them and continues to grow interest. And it's not healthy for him or her or society as a whole. Another important aspect of student debt is that it follows you no matter what happens. So if you go to school and just spend a half a semester or 3 semesters or a portion of time and then don't finish, the money that you have spent or the debt that you have incurred, it's there. It doesn't go away because, oh, you didn't graduate. So some alternatives to the traditional college aspect are the military. That's a great alternative in my opinion. I'm a little biased because I did that, but it's a great alternative for me specifically. I didn't make a career out of it, but I'm able to use funding from the GI Bill to help pay for my schooling right now. So that's really awesome for those who think about that route. Joining the workforce itself is a great opportunity because then you can actually experience life as an adult for a little bit. You know, you can actually enter the workforce and see what it's like to maybe have a desk job or maybe have a field job. Maybe if you worked in construction as a laborer for 2 years, you might think that might be the motivation you need to say, I need to get myself a degree because I don't want to do this for 30 years. A 2-year associate's is another good alternative because it's not as big of a commitment. It's not as much of a cost. It's something that you could do. And if you end up not using it because you didn't like the field, it's not that much of a loss because it's just a 2-year degree. And it'll probably get you closer to another 4-year degree that you might decide that you're interested in pursuing. Trade certificates are great. I'm sure Derek probably has one as a mechanic. He probably went to a trade school for something and has that certificate and he can use it and he's deciding he wants to try to do something different, and that's great. There's a large number of people that want to go to college. The statistic here says 89% want to go to college. But other statistics that I've found that are quoted in the paper that I wrote say that half of them aren't going to make it to graduation. So if we know this information and we don't tell our students that and we don't guide them as such and help them to make informed decisions, we're really doing them a disservice. So about the devaluation of the degree itself. You guys remember what the housing bubble is? You probably remember what that is. Or any other bubble scenario in the market. You know, is when something increases in price so much and the value isn't quite there, those are called bubbles, and they tend to pop. That's just how it works. So the cost of an education is really high, and it's been growing. And the value that you get from the education is still there. It is still there. So I'm not saying that getting a degree itself is going to be worthless, because it's not. It really is worth a lot. Maybe the pursuit of the degree might be perceived as not as valuable as it is now. Even the thought of going and trying to get a degree, people are still just going for it and trying to do it. And with this increase in students that are attempting to get degrees, they can't all get into the nicest colleges, right? You've got a range of high school grads. You've got the A students, and you've got the not so A students, the failure students, the ones that are borderline failing, that just made it through. So they have to get accepted into a lower quality college because they're not going to be accepted into Stanford or Princeton or something. And so what happens is that professors are required to lower the course requirements, lower the standards. One professor, Rosenbaum, talked about how he had to give the test questions out to his students in order to get them to pass the exams. So just finding out ways to get degrees to people because they're willing to pay the money isn't necessarily going to help us have a strong, knowledgeable workforce. So, in summary, getting a degree is an awesome goal. It's something that people should definitely strive for. It's great. It builds up your brain. It builds up your mind and your people skills. And there's lots of great skills that you can get from it. But these statistics are real. These statistics are powerful. And if we know that some of these students are not going to make it through, and we're encouraging them to try anyway, we need to really be thinking about what it is we're saying to them, because it might just be not right. It's a tough decision to go to school or not. I'm 34 years old now, and I'm trying it again. Okay, and a lot of you here in this room are also not out of high school, and you're coming here to get your 4-year degree. So we've faced tough decisions before, and we're facing them now. And a lot of students are facing these decisions out of high school, and we really should make sure they understand what they're facing. Thank you. This chart here this reference is where I got the chart for the income distribution.